Aaron Brooks has the potential to have the greatest year in American wrestling history. Think about it. This guy won his 4th NCAA title just last March. Then in April, he makes the Olympic team, unseating the pound-for-pound #1 wrestler in the world, David Taylor. Okay? And now he's going to be heading to the Olympic Games, and everyone's wondering, who are the big threats? Who could potentially knock off Aaron Brooks? And at 86 kilograms, frankly, there's a lot of names, and there's a lot of really good names. Now, I'm going to give you the top 3 biggest threats to knock off Aaron Brooks. And number 3 and number 2 is really kind of an interchangeable list. It could go to a lot of different wrestlers, okay? You've got someone like Shapiev. You've got Ishiguro, who knocked off Aaron at Junior Worlds a couple of years ago, and also has a tech fall win against Zahid Valencia. You've got Nurmagomedov. You've got Ramazanov, Dalibekov, a lot of Russians at this weight. But number 3 for me represents San Marino. It's a name you know very well, Miles Amin. Now, we've never seen these two wrestle in freestyle before, but we have seen them wrestle in folk style. And I believe that's something that could actually be a bit of an advantage for Miles Amin, because Aaron Brooks is a very tough field, especially that first time out. His ability to hand fight and sprint at you, kind of almost like Yazdani, and that's a kind of a quote from Miles Amin, is that's how his early hand fight can feel. So Miles has felt that, and Miles has the gift of experience on his side. And also, one of the big differences in their matches, and if you look at the NCAA finals match between Amin and Brooks, the mat was a huge factor there. Aaron got that opening takedown and rode him, and that was pretty much it. So now, it's going to be all neutral the whole time. Miles has a great set of attacks. He's been in a ton of matches. He's a multiple world medalist. He can attack both sides, low level, quick shots. Miles is the complete package in freestyle wrestling. He's beaten a lot of elite guys in his career. And that's why I think he's the number 3 threat to knock off Aaron Brooks. Number 2, and I went kind of back and forth with this one, Kurugliev of Greece. Now, he's not Greek. He's from Russia. And if you remember back in 2018, Kurugliev is who David Taylor wrestled at the World Championships in that semifinal match. It was kind of competitive. Kurugliev got up big. He kicked David in the head, and he was concussed. It was kind of crazy. And then David ran him down, and it was so awesome. And then David went on to win his first world title. Well, Kurugliev is still that guy. Very good athlete, super strong, very quick. He can attack. He kind of attacks low ankle to his opponent's right leg, high crotch to his opponent's left. Really good counter scores. Like if you get on his leg, he'll sit around the corner, spin around defense. Kurugliev can do a lot, and he's a good athlete. And what makes him dangerous is I think he's quick enough and elusive enough to slow the match down, keep Brooks at bay, and make things a little bit difficult. Now, all that being said, I still think that Aaron is a favorite against Kurugliev. I don't think he's going to be able to keep him at bay for 6 minutes. But that is the danger. That is the threat. And that's where I think he could present some problems. I want to mention also, Aaron Brooks is totally unseated. He's a grenade that's going to get dropped on this field. And you don't want this guy in round 1. Not at all. It's a tough match. If you're the number 1 seed, Yazdani, you get the American in round 1. That's tough. Although, the word around, if you talk to circles about Yazdani, you don't want him early. You want him a little bit later in the tournament, because his pace and how much he can bring to the table in those early matches, it's a little different than how he's feeling towards the end of the tournament. So that could matter, but it's out of Aaron's control. We don't know where he's going to get dropped. He's unseeded, and a lot of the best guys here are seeded. Yazdani's the 2 seed. Kurugliev's the 7. Amin's the 3. So that bottom side has a lot of heat. If Aaron were to get drawn to that top side, it's a lot better. And now, of course, the number 1 threat to Aaron Brooks is without a doubt Iran's Hassan Yazdani Charati. I've done a lot of content about this guy. I've talked about this guy for years, and people are not giving this guy enough credit, because all American fans know is, oh, this is a guy that David Taylor kills. Well, yeah, and first of all, it's not that easy. David Taylor's had some really, really competitive matches with Yazdani. David Taylor lost one time to Yazdani, though David had the decided edge. Yazdani is as dominant a wrestler as we've seen in a really long time. And the last loss he has suffered was in January of 2016, when he was at 74 kilograms. He wasn't even an Olympic champion at that point in time. He had never won Worlds at that point in time. He has not lost to someone not named David Taylor since January of 2016. So everyone that thinks you just plug in Aaron Brooks because he beat David Taylor, so he'll beat Yazdani, That's a little reductive for me. And I think Yazdani is still a decided favorite. Now, I think the keys for Aaron Brooks, we know that Yazdani is going to come out, underhook, a brutal, I mean, if you want to talk about one of the most violent, physical, and impressive hand fighters in the world, it's Hassan Yazdani. I mean, guys cannot, the best, I mean, you look at someone like Trent Hidley. You think this guy's a beast. No one can stay on the mat with him. He's moving Hidley around, right? And there's other wrestlers with more accolades he's done it, but I'm just, for an example, for an American wrestling fan, Trent Hidley, you think this guy's, he's a fire hydrant. You can't move him. And then Yazdani was able to beat him 12-2 this year. So for Aaron Brooks, the keys, I think it's this exchanges. If we can get Yazdani on the leg, extended finishes, or Aaron Brooks to the leg, I think that's going to favor us. That's kind of what favored David Taylor. When they were mixing it up in exchanges, edge David Taylor all day long. I think the same is going to be true for Aaron Brooks. His defense is incredible. If you're on his leg, he's really dangerous and does a great job of scoring. He's got collar and ankle. He's got his outside step leg attacks. And of course, Aaron Brooks, much like Yazdani, has an underhook. An underhook he modeled after Hassan Yazdani. This is one of his favorite wrestlers to watch. And now many people think it's going to be those two wrestling in the Olympic finals if they're seated opposite each other. If not, they could hit in round one for all we know. So those are the three biggest threats to me. Really, I feel like there's one huge threat, and then there's like 7, 8, 9 similarly dangerous threats. So early on, Aaron Brooks is very likely going to have someone pretty tough. This is a pretty deep field. It's the Olympic Games. There's not a lot of fluff here, and Aaron Brooks is not going to find any in this weight class. But he's got the goods to win. I like Aaron Brooks a little more acclimated to the weight class. He had a tough weight cut at the trials. It's well documented. One thing people don't know about the Olympics, I don't think I've talked about it yet, so I'll talk about it now, is that weigh-in rules are going to be totally different here. The Olympics are kind of doing their own thing. They're going to have a 4-hour weigh-in on day one. Now, it's normally 2-hour weigh-in, and then you're on the mat. So it's going to be 4 hours, and for someone like Aaron Brooks, it could be even later in the day. So he's going to have more time to rest, recover, refuel, and get a little bit bigger. And then were he to make the finals, that's going to be an even more extended weigh-in. So that's a factor for some of the bigger weight cutters like a Zane Rutherford, like a Aaron Brooks. And it could be an advantage for them as they get a little extra time to recover. But man, I cannot wait to watch this weight class. I mean, Brooks Yazdani may be, I feel like I say it every video, this is the most anticipated match. That's just how good these weights are. And I'm whimsical like that. My mind can change. But Brooks versus Yazdani might be the #1 match I got to see at the Olympic Games. I hope we have it. I hope Aaron is standing on top of the podium at the end of it all.